Hey Alicia, guess what I just found? Your worth. It was inside you all along.
You were so weird.
Mended light.
I know this video is titled something like Finding Your Worth, and that's a little bit clickbaity because you don't find your worth.
But this is YouTube, so
we clickbait all we can.
We clickbait all we can. But we do it with the best of intentions.
We
Who
do.
are you to judge? So your worth, you can't find it. It's because it's not something you look for. Go ahead.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Your worth is innate. Your worth is inside you. You came here with it, whatever your beliefs are about where you came from.
Right. But just by virtue of being a human being,
Right.
just like everybody else, you're a collection of strengths and weaknesses. So either we all have worth or none of us do. And if none of us do, that's depressing. So let's focus on the other one. We all have worth. Yours is already there.
Okay, but let's talk about this, okay? Most of our life, for the majority of people, we did not live in an unconditional loving environment, right? We were unconsciously, most of the time, and sometimes not unconsciously, very directly told that our worth was tied to who we are or what we accomplish or who likes us or who accepts us, right? That our worth is tied to all these things outside of ourselves. So I personally say that the first lesson that we all have to learn in this journey called life is that our worth is innate, and then to live our life with that truth and with that knowledge.
And it's so vital to learn this because we get messages from so many sources, including people who care about us, that our worth is determined by what we do, whether we meet a certain standard, whether we accomplish a certain thing, whether we show up a certain way. And sometimes that comes from, for example, parents who do love us, but the way they behave suggests my love for you is conditional. It's so vital in order to see clearly and discern what's true and what's not about the messages you're receiving from all over the place. To embrace your worth and to love yourself allows you to be like Neo in the Matrix when he finally sees that everything is just ones and zeros and he sees everything for what it really is. Loving yourself and embracing your worth helps you to have that clarity.
That's beautiful. So let's talk about what are the roadblocks, right? What are the roadblocks to accepting our own innate worth? And the things that we do to try and earn worth and the things that we do to try to protect from losing our worth. And then I want to circle back to the conversation you were just having about like maybe the messages our parents or our caregivers or our loved ones send us.
Teachers, a bunch of things.
Because even if they are good, kind, loving people, they might still send the message, oh, here's what you need to do, here's what you need to achieve, here's how you have to belong to have worth. And that's because we all need safety and we all need real love. But in the inability to create real safety and real love, we will try to create perceived safety and earned love, which is conditional love, which isn't love at all. And so a lot of times that's not even conscious, and our loved ones, out of desire to basically communicate, hey, this is how I've created perceived safety and protection for myself. This is what I've done. You need to do the same thing, because they're like, I want you to be protected too. And so it can be a journey. But going back to living in conditional love is living in conditional acceptance and conditional belonging. And that means that it's tied to anything outside of ourselves.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. And so we dive deep into this in our personalities course. And we have a lesson in there that I particularly love that is specifically on worth ties. And so we're going to talk about some of the personality types here. And we've talked about personality types in a lot of our other videos. But if you don't know or aren't as familiar what we're talking about, there is a free course that you can sign up for that you can deep dive into it. But you are a dreamer, healer personality type.
Yes.
So what do you love to tie your worth to?
Well, or what have I historically tied my worth to? Dreamers are all about big ideas. and they're all about fun and adventure and making people laugh and being the center of attention at a party. We thrive off of that sort of thing.
Well, and that's the extroverted, relationship-oriented personality type. So your strength is in relationships and is in connecting with people in an extroverted way. It's also what you're going to tend to tie your worth to.
Yes. And my healer side is the introverted, relationship-oriented person, where I value bringing people comfort and helping them to feel secure and loved and helping them to feel better. And I still value making people laugh, or I still value kind of being the life of the party or having good ideas. And I also value bringing people comfort and helping them to feel better. But for a long time, I tied my worth to those things. So what would happen if I would tell a joke and it would fall flat? Or I would tell a story and people were bored by it? Or I had an idea and people thought it sucked? Or what would happen if I tried to bring somebody comfort and I couldn't do it? I couldn't help them. I would feel like a failure and I would feel worthless. And the reason is not because of the things I value. It was because I tied my worth to those things. Once I embraced my worth, I could do those things but with different intentions.
Yeah.
Once I embraced that my worth was innate, I didn't need the acceptance. I didn't need things to go, speaking to another one of our videos, I didn't need the specific outcome to go my way to feel content and at peace with who I am.
Yeah. And so I am a thinker-closer personality type. If you didn't notice, we're opposites. So he's relationship-oriented, and I am task-oriented. And so my dominant personality type is thinker. I value logic, respect, things making sense. The world is very black and white for me. There's right and there's wrong. It is the introverted, task-oriented personality type. And then my secondary is a closer, which is the extroverted, task-oriented personality type. So neither one of us had a lot of natural balance in our life that way. And so your huge growth opportunity was to become task-oriented. And my growth opportunity was to become relationship-oriented.
And performance-oriented, because guys, I saw you filming shorts today and you were playing characters. And I'm so proud of you because that's so far outside of your comfort zone. Way to embrace that growth opportunity.
Back to the closer personality type. So closers value accomplishment, getting things done, and they're excellent at it. Like if you want something done, like by a certain deadline, doesn't matter, the budget, doesn't matter what it takes to get there, like a closer will do it. And a closer struggles to understand anyone that doesn't get the job done. And anyone that doesn't get the job done, any reason they give just sounds like excuses. Those are all amazing strengths, right? But both of those personality types struggle with patience and understanding, empathy, and connecting with people that are different than themselves. And so those are the strengths and those are the growth opportunities. But you tie your worth to accomplishment, or you tie your worth to social acceptance, or your family being okay, or your kids being okay. Even though all those things are important, you tie your worth to it. And the way I imagine it is, it's like being a marionette puppet, right? Those old school puppets that have hands and arms and legs, right? Like you become a marionette puppet in life, and life is going to come along and it is going to pull on your worth ties. It is going to push you into the ground and tell you you are worthless if you allow it, right?
Yeah.
And that is why for each of us, our first and greatest life lesson is not to give up the things we value, because they're part of our life mission and purpose and the amazing, unique goodness that each of us are, and to separate our worth as a person from what we value. And then interesting thing happens in that situation is we are then able to more fully embody who we are and live in authenticity, and to go after our goals without being distracted of whether we achieve the goal every single time.
Right.
So there's another book that I've enjoyed. It's called Real Love and Post-Childhood Stress Disorder.
I also enjoyed it.
And Dr. Greg Bear talks about things that we do to get love, and he's talking about conditional love, and things we do to protect from losing conditional love. And then that's where the post-childhood stress disorder comes in, that is so applicable for almost all of us, right? Because it's not that our parents and our caregivers and our loved ones didn't love us. It's that they didn't know how to show unconditional love. And so we all, to some extent, will learn to engage in lying to protect from losing love, or lying to get love, or using attacking behavior, or acting like a victim, or clinging to someone, or running away from someone, right? We could also talk about all these traits through the lens of attachment theory, right? It's all the same types of behavior, but it all comes down to, what am I attaching my worth to? And am I receiving unconditional love? And if I'm not receiving unconditional love, I'm going to try and get conditional love. And here's all the ways, or the coping mechanisms I've come up in my life to create perceived safety or perceived control when I felt like I didn't have it.
Well, and it represents a major growth opportunity to separate your value from what you've tied your worth to, and to just embrace yourself fully, including the unlovable parts, or the parts that don't line up with your values, or the parts that you're still working on.
There's a Zen proverb that embodies all this that we're talking about so well. You are perfect as you are, and there's room for growth.
Yeah.
And that word perfect, instead of defining it as without flaw, if you, in your mind, can change that meaning to whole and with integrity. So you are whole and have integrity as you are, and there's room for growth. I believe that is a level of self-acceptance we can all move towards in a supportive way.
Yeah. And that's what Riley has to learn about herself in Inside Out 2,
Yeah.
this year's biggest box office hit. Ever heard of it? Check it out if you haven't. But Riley feels like she's not good enough.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, her self-worth was based on the belief that I'm a good person. And she has to come face to face with, I've done things that run contrary to my values. I've been cruel to my friends. I've lied to people. I've pretended to be something that I'm not to gain acceptance, and I don't like this version of me.
Well, and those are the getting and protecting behaviors.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. There is nothing wrong with that, because it is all part of our journey of growing into the best version of ourselves.
So here's Riley's sense of self being challenged by, what about the times that I'm a brat? What about the times that I'm angry? And she's having a panic attack because she doesn't believe she's a good person anymore because of her flaws.
I'm a good person.
And all her emotions have been fighting to control the view of how she sees herself.
Boys, what are you doing?
Getting rid of that old sense of self based on perfectionism, based on worth ties.
I'm selfish. I'm kind. I'm not good enough. I'm a good person. I need to fit in. But I want to be myself. I'm brave. But I get scared. I make mistakes. I'm nice. I'm me. I'm a good friend. I'm a terrible friend. I am strong. I need help sometimes.
Joy's just holding her sense of self.
Oh my gosh. I love that when anxiety sees, oh, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
You can see the whirlwind start to dissipate in the background that's been out of control. And this scene will never fail to make me cry, because this scene is my growth journey in a nutshell. Just how vital it is to embrace all the parts of yourself. And it's not going to keep you from growing. It's actually going to help you to grow.
And here's the thing. When we give gifts to ourselves, like self-compassion and recognizing our own humanity, we are then able to fully give that gift to other people. And that's part of our foundation of having a peaceful and joyful life. And so when we recognize the humanity inside of ourselves and say, yeah, occasionally I've done unkind things, but that is not who I want to be. And I'm working and I'm growing in that way. But that also gives us the permission to say, yeah, I fall down. Yeah, sometimes I fail. I use the word fail in the traditional sense. For me personally, a long time ago, I redefined the definition of failure to end success. that if I learned something, I succeeded. And if I failed, it was because I didn't learn something. And in that definition, I was always in control of whether I succeeded or failed, right? Yeah. And so as we see the humanity in ourselves and we give ourselves permission to be human and to have flaws and to treat ourselves as a whole person and to act in integrity, knowing that sometimes we are going to act out of integrity because that's part of our humanity. But the only thing we need to do to be back in alignment with our integrity is to apologize, is to take accountability, is to make things right. And then we're back in that alignment of integrity. And so that process, I call it making friends with the rejected parts of ourselves. We each have parts of ourselves that we thought were unlovable, that we thought made us unworthy. And in therapeutic terms, it's called integration, right? Like when you're talking about trauma, you're like, oh, you need to integrate your trauma. and I don't mean that to be lighthearted, but I was just always like, what? But there are parts of ourselves, parts of our experiences that we've rejected, and we've rejected them because of what we believed they said about us. And those are the little T-truths in our lives. Those are the things that aren't actual truth, but we believe are true. And when we open ourselves up to rewriting the story about what those experiences said about us, we're then able to integrate them. And when we're able to separate our worth as a person from those experiences, we're able to integrate them. And that whole process is part of coming to a place of unconditional love. And treating ourselves with unconditional love and learning how to treat others with unconditional love.
And as we do this, we become what Dr. Bear calls in his book, a wise person. Right? Wise people see others as they are and see their value and see their worth and embrace and accept them. And we want to surround ourselves with those people in life, at least as far as our own support goes. It's good to have all sorts of people in your life, and people who can't give that to you, that's fine. You can give it to them and you can give them love. But we experience a lot of pain. Speaking of expectation from a previous video, we experience a lot of pain when we expect someone else to be a support for us and they're not ready to do so. And so we have to give it to ourselves and then we can give it to others. And we only rely on those who show up as a wise person to be that for us.
Yeah. Well, and to be really clear, what the path to unconditional love looks like is we have to be seen for who we really are. And to be seen for who we really are, we have to show ourselves for who we really are. And that is scary. And that goes back to worth ties and getting and protecting behaviors. So we do this in small steps with wise men, wise women, wise people, right? People that have shown us that they're trustworthy, that they're safe. And we show ourselves in small ways where we feel comfortable. So we follow that path of being seen for who we really are, being accepted for who we are, so that we belong as we really are. Right? Yes. And that is what the path to unconditional love looks like. Here's the thing. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's incredibly supportive if we have those wise people in our life that are able to do that for us. Even if we don't have those wise people in our life to do that for us, we can show ourselves that unconditional acceptance, that unconditional belonging that leads to unconditional love. Here's the thing. Before we start on that journey, we all need to practice self-compassion. So these different traits of emotional intelligence or emotional maturity, I think of them like muscles. They need to be strengthened. And self-compassion is one that needs to be strong as we start this journey, because it's the one we're going to come back to again and again. Because on this journey of growth, on this journey of understanding our own worth, there are going to be times when we become painfully aware of how we have contributed to our own suffering and how we've contributed to our own pain. And the reality of that is going to sometimes feel like a gut punch or a slap in the face. And we need to be able to return to a compassionate place for ourselves, because all of that is judgment. And if we can return to a compassionate place for ourselves, that is the superpower of stepping out of judgment and stepping into understanding and acceptance, because it's so easy to judge a previous version of ourselves by our knowledge of today. And it is human nature to do so. It is not supportive. It is not serving or supportive at all. And so as you lean into this journey, remember how powerful self-compassion can be. Remember that even though it's wonderful to have other people show you unconditional love and to shine that light that they see in you back to you, even when you don't see it in yourself, that is something you can do for yourself. And that you are perfect as you are right now, and there's room for growth if you so choose. And all of this helps put us in a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset, so we can grow into the best version of ourselves.
Yeah. And to that end, we want to help you to do that. We've talked a lot today about the what, but not exactly the how.
Yeah.
And the how is part of our connecting with personalities, or connecting through personalities, We've got a course all about understanding yourself, what you value, what you need, but also, and here's the secret sauce, how to bond with and work with and connect with people who see the world differently than you and need different things.
And this is hard-earned experience because we're so opposite, and we have 5 children, and wouldn't you know it, they're a lovely mix of both of us. And the fun thing about that course is it's free.
What?
Yes, absolutely.
And for sure, get through the whole course, because it's one of the last lessons that is on worth ties, and it is powerful and life-changing.
So that entire video course is available for you to try out for free right now. Link is here and in the description below.
And until next time, remember to keep shining. We need your light.
Shine on.